Okay, welcome to the Town Board meeting Thursday, May 21st, 2020. Emergency exits are to my right behind the town clerk and also the door we came in. Roll, please.
Councilman Morris?
Here.
Councilwoman Samoji?
Here.
Councilman Gutierrez?
Here.
Councilwoman Doyle?
Here.
Supervisor Perotti?
Here. Supervisors report. Wassaic Trail to the Train update. The trail to the train rail trail is still under construction and is not open to the public. Town of Amenia COVID-19. The Amenia Town Hall departments will be available by appointment only beginning on June 1st, as the Amenia Town Hall doors will continue to be locked. Under no circumstances will anyone be allowed into the Amenia Town Hall for an appointment without a face covering. Face coverings are also required to be worn by all town hall staff and elected officials as per the governor's and Dutchess County executive orders. Social distancing protocols will also need to be followed. Your safety and that of the town hall staff are our highest priority. In addition, contact the town board and or departments by phone or email if you have any issues or concerns. The Town of Amenia website and Channel 22 are updated on a regular basis as new information is provided for updates and the reopening of businesses in Dutchess County. Councilman Gutierrez is putting links to important information on the Wassaic and Amenia Facebook community page. In addition, there is a secure lock mailbox under video surveillance for taxpayers to leave tax payments, water bill payments, or other documents or requests. Under no circumstances are any payments or other documentation to be placed in the United States Postal Service mailbox on the post in front of the town, in front of the building, as the Town of Amenia will not be responsible for lost or stolen documents put in there. I know this is a difficult time for all of us. Please continue to wear face coverings and be mindful of social distancing wherever you are. Please also remember to not touch your face, wash your hands often, and use hand sanitizer. Be well and stay safe. Town Clerk report.
Good evening. For all the board members, I circulated the minutes of our previous meeting of May 7th prior to the meeting. Has everybody had the opportunity to review?
Yeah. Yes.
Is there a motion?
I motion to approve. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Michelle.
Motion to accept the minutes as read, or whatever it is.
Presented?
Of May 7th, 2020. Yeah, that's the one.
Second.
Perotti seconding. Councilman Morris?
Yes.
Councilwoman Samoji?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle?
Yes.
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
I present to the board that for tax collection, to date, I've collected $5,716,848.28. Collected $9,015.41, with the remaining of uncollected taxes for this season is $425,332.34. Total number of postings are the 1,901 of our parcels. This is a final reminder to all of our taxpayers. Second notices were mailed to the address that we have on record. If you have an address change, you must get that to the assessor's office. The assessor makes those said changes. Tax notices were originally mailed in the month of December of 2019, with the first time that they being due was March 2nd without penalty. So you guys are in the final week of collecting taxes. I do honor postmark, so do keep that in the back of your mind if you are one of the 108 parcels remaining to collect your taxes. I present to the board the abstract for this month, totaling $304,268.44. Our totals are for General Fund A, $87,144.24. Highway Fund, $83,000. $964.88. Amenia Lighting, $1,247.75. Wasake Lighting, $465.91. Amenia Water, $4,796.54. Trail to the Train, $126,649.12. Again, with a total of this month's vouchers, $304,268.44. Is there a motion? Is there a motion to pay the bills?
Yes, I'll move. Go ahead.
Vicki, is that you moving to authorize the supervisor to pay this month's abstract? So
Yes.
we're not seeing them, right? Vicki started that, moved it. Is there a second?
Yes, that was,
Damien?
second.
Second. Okay.
Damien, okay. Councilman Morris?
Yes.
Councilman Samoji?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle?
Yes.
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
I also received on this date from Annette earlier today, it appears that we have a standard workday and reporting resolution that I circulated in my packet. It is for elected and appointed officials, and we're looking to resolve for the town of Amenia, hereby establish the following standard workdays for the titles with, we do have one change, elected Norman Moore. We do have his social, his retirement number, his title being Justice, with his term, standard workday being 6, and with the record of activity results being 16.64. And Annette's asked that the board authorize this resolution so I may post it for the required 30 days. Is there a motion to accept this resolution?
I make a motion to accept the resolution
Is there a
for
second?
the standard workday. Is there a second?
I second the motion, the resolution
Michelle?
for the standard workday.
Thank you. Councilman Morris?
Yes.
Councilwoman Samoji?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez?
Abstain. I can't hear anything. I'm sorry.
Councilwoman Doyle?
Yes.
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Motion carries. Also this evening,
I'm having trouble hearing too. I'm getting like every other word almost.
okay, so what's happening is whoever has their phones on, if you are on speaker, I hate to tell you this, you can't have it on speaker because it's echoing. It is also echoing and giving us feedback here. So you have to turn your phones on to mute so that way we're not getting the feedback. And then you just simply have to unmute it when it's time when we're doing a roll call.
Okay.
Thank you. Also this evening, I'm presenting to the board, circulated prior via email from our bookkeeper, our operating and our balance sheets. Are there any questions on those?
There's also a hard copy in your mailboxes.
Okay, also presenting to the board this evening is I have the highway report from Megan. Megan is sharing with all of us that the highway department has been busy trying to keep up with the things under the COVID-19 regulations, and the department continues to follow the guidelines. They have been working up on Cascade Mountain and Flint Hill, cleaning out all of the ditches and culvert pipes. Last week, they were working on getting the town roads mowed, which I can attest to. She did my road. This year, they plan on blacktopping the rest of Depot Hill and Prospect, and she plans on doing this with the OGS Quick Coat as they have in the past, and she's waiting for the 3 prices to come back, and then she will return back to the board. And currently with the new truck has finally been completed by Hudson River, and they've been putting it to good work. It's your highway report for this month. Also sharing with the board is SCBI, your water report dated April 2020. It's going to indicate the usage for March and April, and there's no other No report for meter changes, water lines, or others. And he does indicate that he had a water main repair on Prospect. As always, these reports will be posted on our report as we've started for 2020. Is there a motion to accept those reports?
Don Marie, I've taken you off speaker, but I can't hear you.
Well, you can put it back on speaker, Jim. Go ahead.
If you can't hear it. Vicki, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Oh, that was
If you
Michelle.
put it on channel 22, you can hear better.
Hi, Michelle.
I can hear you better now.
Okay.
Make a motion to accept those reports.
Damien. Is there a second?
I second.
Second.
Okay, I got Michelle. Councilman Morris.
Yes.
Councilwoman Samoji.
That's what, did you call my name?
I
Yes.
did, I called your name. Are you going to, you seconded the motion and I'm taking roll call. Is there a vote?
Oh, okay, I didn't quite catch that. Yes, yes is my answer.
Great, thank you. Councilman Gutierrez.
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle.
Yeah.
Supervisor Perotti.
Yes.
And all I have then is to wish everybody a happy and safe Memorial Day holiday weekend. That'll conclude the town clerk's report.
Resolution 27,
Yes.
approving supplemental agreement with WSP USA Incorporated for professional engineering services related to the Wassaic Trail to Train project. Whereas on October 20th, 2011, the town of Amenia and WSP USA Incorporated entered into an architectural engineering consultant agreement by which WSP agreed to provide architectural and engineering services to the town related to the Wassaic Trail to Train project. Whereas the Wassaic Trail to Train project involves the extension of the Harlem Valley Rail Trail into the hamlet of Wassaic, whereas additional construction, inspection, and construction support services are necessary to complete the project, but were not included in the original project scope under the agreement. Whereas on November 16, 2017, the Town Board of the Town of Amenia, by Resolution Number 56 of 2017, approved an amendment to the agreement with WSP for additional construction inspection and construction support services. And whereas the amendment for a construction inspection and construction support services for a period of 3 months. Whereas due to various complications and unforeseen circumstances, the construction was not completed within the anticipated 3-month time frame. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Amenia now seeks to approve a supplemental agreement to the November 16, 2017 amendment to the agreement with WSP for the continued construction inspection and construction support services to be conducted on a time and material basis as set forth in the attached supplemental agreement, whereas this is a Type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, and therefore not subject to review under SEQR. Now therefore be it resolved that the recitations above set forth are incorporated in this resolution as if fully set forth and adopted herein. The Town Board hereby approves the supplemental agreement to the November 16, 2017 amendment to the agreement with WSP to provide further construction inspection and construction support services on a time and material basis till the completion of the Wassaic Trail to the Train project. The Town Board hereby authorizes the supervisor to execute the supplemental agreement to the November 16, 2017 amendment to the agreement with WSP in substantially the same form as annexed hereto. Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the resolution.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
I'll second it. Discussion?
Okay.
There's no dollar amount on this, obviously. It's listed as time and materials. We know the project's almost done. When would the time and material billing start?
When was the what?
When would they start billing time and materials for this extra period of time?
Now?
I think It starts March. It goes back to March when the last one.
They've been billing us time and materials.
I can answer that question. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Can I first ask is it dated April 27th? Because in that packet that wasn't there, but I've got an agreement dated April 27th from WSP Cells. Is that the one we're voting on? The amendment dated April 27th? I see it in my inbox, and Damien said 10 hours a day seems absurdly excessive, and then Victoria said it's under review.
Yes, and I think,
So I don't know if I'm...
Ian, didn't you send the final draft?
The draft that I had sent it's based on a 9-hour. It's an estimated 9-hour day.
I got that.
And they agreed to that.
Now says not.
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
The version I'm looking at, dated April 27th, with WSP Cells initial logo at the top, says it was based on a 9-hour day. So I think it may have been, reduced from the 10-hour day that they started off with.
They presented an estimate of a 10-hour day, and then in their actual breakdown, they did a 9-hour day. So they were inconsistent, and they were based on an estimate, not an actual number. So it's not a real number as to how many hours they would actually be there. So we did it on a 9-hour based on the negotiations that we had.
This is Jim. Why can't they just give us a price? I mean, they must have a pretty good idea of how much work they have to do. Now, is this going back to March? I'm not sure I understand. Go ahead.
So they're submitting their bills now on a time and material basis, where before it was done by phase. When it was done by phase, it was not advantageous to the town financially. This is a much better financial arrangement. If you will notice, the cost basis on the renegotiation on a time and material basis, if the project is completed by July, by the July date, it's a reduction of just about $20,000 from where the initial proposal was. If the project is completed on the anticipated date in June, it will result in an almost $60,000 reduction in the overall cost. So when we negotiated from a phased basis to a time and material basis, with the help of the project manager, John Comsa, we were able to more clearly identify the tasks to be completed, the scope of the work to be completed, and to limit our costs overall.
If you're sanguine that we're going to reduce our costs by that, then that's fine.
The numbers were very much in our favor. Now, it went from over 170 down to 152. As I said, just about a $20,000 reduction. That's if the project is not completed until July. And we are on track. The construction is meeting all its standards and goals, and it looks like this project will be resolved by early June, which, if that's the case, then based on the time estimates for a June finish date, it will be an almost $60,000 reduction from the original cost.
Okay, all right.
So going from a time and material versus the phase section and more clearly identifying the scope of work that needs to be completed at this point in time, it was very advantageous for the town.
Yeah, that's why we challenged the amendment.
Was there a question? I didn't hear it. I'm sorry.
No, I just said that's why we challenged the amendment, so.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, are you ready to vote?
I am.
Councilwoman
What's the
Smo.
bottom number that we're voting on? Total cost not to exceed, what I'm looking at is $152,510.
That is the number.
Okay.
That's on an anticipated date in July, if the project were to continue through July. If the project is finished before then, you're not paying percentage-wise anymore. You're paying for the actual work and time that's going to be accredited to whatever task is done. It's just a time and material basis. They're submitting invoices just as anyone else would on a voucher now.
Right. And I'll just say, I see what you're saying. They have 9 hours per day in one place and 10 hours, resident engineer on site 10 hours per day. So it's not ideal, but if it's not to exceed and time and materials.
You must be looking at a later version or an earlier version, Vicki, because that had been edited out from the version that should have been supplied to you guys.
Oh.
That was emailed.
Okay.
And again, those numbers, whether it's 9 or 10, essentially was an estimate. Their calculation, I believe, was based on 9, which is how they came to the number of 152. And that would be presuming that the engineer in charge was there 9 hours a day, every day, all day, until the completion of the project, which we know is not likely, but they do an estimate based on what they have, and that gives you the outside number to which they will bill against.
That's why we met with the project manager, because he's keeping a close eye on what's going on down there and what our charges should be. He reviews everything.
Okay, let's
That's
go.
my only question.
Okay. Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilman Morris?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Smoji?
Yes.
Okay, we have a discussion and potential resolution for the purchase of additional laptop computers. Damon, you want to talk about your bids you got?
Yeah, sure. So as the public is probably painfully aware here, we're all dialed in on a conference call. There is a possibility for us to do these meetings by video conference, as a lot of other towns are doing. We have the software that the town's already paid for it, so there's no expense there. We just need to make sure that our town board members who do not have equipment that is compatible with the video conferencing software have the equipment so that we can continue to meet remotely during this time of crisis. I went out and got bids for pretty much the cheapest spec laptop I could find, just about $300. The lowest bid came with, I believe it was a 4-year warranty. And so we don't need anything fancy. We need the most bare bones thing possible, but a way for town board members to be able to access their email remotely, to be able to participate via video conference in any board meetings or any other meetings. I think it would be very helpful and in the benefit of the town.
Okay,
Computers
Ian?
remain the property of the town, right?
Yes.
Okay. That's fine.
Ian?
Sorry, I was just pulling it off mute.
Ian, did you want to chime in there?
So the computers for video conferencing, I think, would serve a very beneficial purpose for the short-term interim period while we're operating under the executive order, and it could potentially be advantageous for when we come out of these executive orders that have modified the open meetings law, it would still be beneficial at that point in time. I do think that another advantage, which I know Councilman Gutierrez has been discussing with me on various different times, it would help further compliance for the town board with regards to the Freedom of Information Law, Public Officers Law, and the Arts and Cultural Affairs Law with regards to record keeping and documentation and business being conducted on a town machine. One of the concerns I have is I don't know. Costco it looks like the one bid that seems to be the most advantageous to the town. There was a membership fee to that. Victoria, I believe you had determined that was a $60 additional fee.
Yeah, for a business one.
I'm a member and would happily just.
Yes, but we can't buy it through your membership. You would have to be through the towns.
And quite honestly, we should probably investigate whether or not that would be waived from municipality or not. I don't know what they would do to accommodate a municipality, but it is something that could be looked into. So as far as that's concerned, I don't know as far as setup and monitoring. There is technical support with this. I don't know if that would entail setting up Zoom meetings, but or whatever form or platform we're going to use going forward for the video conferencing. That would have to be determined and figured out. I think, Damien, you're working on that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I think once we figure that out, we just figure out how many we're going to purchase. The number seems to be below any way we cut it, no matter how many we purchase. It's going to be below the 2,999 threshold of our procurement policy. So for quotes, we'd be in compliance with the procurement policy to purchase it. We would just have to determine how many you want to buy.
Why couldn't one of us, I'm a member of Costco as well, why couldn't we buy it or buy them as agents for the town?
Because the warranty would be under your name, not the town's.
What's the problem?
Yeah, but the warranty...
Exempt certificate. You're going to need a tax-exempt certificate, but I don't see why we couldn't use that and be purchasing with your credit card right then and there.
No, we can't do that. Absolutely not.
If you purchase through your membership, is there any benefit to you to it?
Not that I can think of. My wife knows more about that stuff than I do. I really don't know much about it.
I mean, if you're creating points or something that's going to provide some benefit, I don't think it's the best way to do it. It should probably be done through a town. The town should have its membership if it's going to purchase.
Yeah, the town should also have the warranty.
The only purchase they make, I don't know.
Okay, that sounds fine. I mean, the technical support is probably tied to the membership as well, so it ideally should be in the town's name. So, look, however we sort it out, I just think that it's a very inexpensive solution that would ensure that all elected officials at the town of Amenia are able to access their town email, able to access and participate in video conferences. And right now we put that burden on people to have their own devices and to bring their own devices to be able to serve. And I have a computer. My job gives me one. It's modern. I can do all those things. I don't need a computer, but I'm fortunate. Not everybody has that privilege. So if we can just ensure that people who are elected to this office have access to the tools they need to be able to do the business of this office, then I think that that's a worthy investment.
I would say that if we go to investing in people having their own laptops, then we should require that they bring them to the meeting so that they don't have to have 5 reams of paper used to photocopy all of the amendments. They should be all scanned in ahead of time, shared in some fashion, either by email or Google Docs or something, and save the town all that printing and paper. They should bring it, and then there also is going to need to be a power strip or something where we can all plug in. That's its own thing. All of the devices would need some power, I would guess.
Well, we can order a surge protector, which would probably be the best thing to have.
Probably need a couple of, yeah.
Again, if
I just
if
think
there's
it's the least
business
we can
being
do
conducted,
to justify the fact that we are giving people their computers, then they need to bring them and save us some money by doing so.
and again, as far as compliance with some of these other statutes, all business done on a town computer, so if there are FOIL requests or requests for records of any kind, it's all kept on the town computer. It's not kept on a personal computer.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
so the use of personal machines is not ideal. It's better for compliance with as I said before, various different statutes, to have a designated machine laptop for the conducting of town business.
So do we know how many we want to purchase?
I just added, and for no other business, it's strictly for the town business, right?
Yes.
Correct. Yes, you
Okay.
should be doing town business on town machines and personal business on personal machines.
Okay. Got it.
I mean, you don't want your personal hard drive to be. If it ever came into question, they could take your personal hard drive if they believed that there were documents or communications on those hard drives.
Okay.
So
Ready to vote?
how many, we have to have a number.
I just have a question. I have a question on these the computer stuff. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes,
Go
ma'am.
ahead.
Now, everybody knows I know nothing about computers. So my question is, the town stuff that I have on my computer now with my access number and all of that, does that all get transferred to the new computers? And do I do it, or does somebody who knows magical stuff about computers do it?
We'll set it up for you. No problem.
Okay, all right. That's my question, because listen.
You're gonna need to you're gonna need to know your password. I can't help you with that, but everything else.
Okay, I know that. That's about all I know. Okay, all right. That was only my question about how we move things over and do things, because it may be very elementary to you guys, but to me it's like, way up there in scope. Okay, thank you very much.
So I need to know how many are we ordering? I mean, I have a laptop in my office that stays there. I never go anywhere with it. That needs to be upgraded, that I was going to put in the budget for next year. The warranty, I think, expired on 2017 or 18. But I don't really, I need something more complicated than this, so.
If that's a waivable cost, there are some variables to what the actual cost of the machines are going to be.
So do we want one for each of the town board members, or what are we doing here?
Ian's identified.
Victoria, your laptop doesn't have a camera, so if you need to participate in a video conference, you can't do it from that. So I would recommend that you, again, these laptops that I got quotes for, we could do something different. But the ones I got quotes for are literally the cheapest laptops you can find on the face of the planet. They will do email, they'll do video conference, and that's about it. You can't run Word on it. You can't run Excel. It's it's a Chromebook. It's very, 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 very simple. The good news with simple is that it doesn't break. It doesn't need a lot of software support. It doesn't need a lot of IT support. There's really nothing that can go wrong with it. but it is very bare bones. Just for viewing documents, email, and video conferencing. That's about it. So
I think we need
even
to,
if they're so cheap, I would recommend that you would get one as well. If we don't want to go this super budget route, we could do a more expensive machine and we could get quotes for that. But, I think this would suffice just for email, document viewing, and video conferencing purposes.
well, I think we ought to table this until we
That's all
get
we
more
need it for, 'cause
information.
that's all I need to understand. Just have to contact the town and get the emails from the town or anybody else who's speaking to me for the town, information and stuff. That's all I need. I don't need any bells and whistles because I wouldn't know what to do with them if I got them.
Well, I think maybe we should table it at this point, or did you want to vote? Because it doesn't seem like we're really sure about specifically what we want.
That's fine. We can table it.
We can table it if you want, but as far as I'm concerned, we get a bare bones thing as Damien is suggesting. I don't need anything more than that.
Okay.
So as far as I'm concerned, we could vote on it, but if you want to table it, that's fine with me too. I don't care.
What do you suggest,
with a
Ian?
fixed budget?
What?
Can we vote with a fixed budget, meaning saying we will agree to spend no more than, I guess we can't do that, no, because we need to select an actual bid, right?
Well, you have bids, but do the
number
bid?
is still within the guidelines, so long as you don't exceed $2,999, then you are within your procurement policy as far as the requirements of what you would have to pull for written quotes, which you have. You have a cost right now that appears to be $299 per machine, plus what looks like maybe a $60 Costco membership and a $10 shipping fee. I don't know if that's per unit or not. I don't know how that's going to be applied. But yeah, I mean, you could put a dollar number not to exceed X amount based on slight variable.
But
Look, go ahead, Victoria.
are we sure of what type of computer we want and what we want to be able to do with it? Because it sounds like these are limited to what, email? You said there was no Word or anything on it. I mean, what would we use this for? Just to look at our resolutions and, so we don't have paper, but what would be the other purpose of it?
Video conferencing, email, and document viewing. You can actually use Word. You could do it through our new Office 365 system.
But are you sure we would be able to do video conference through the ones you got the bid on?
Yes, positive.
So you're looking for a video
Can we
conference?
put a limit on it of $2,000?
That would be more than enough.
How do we do
For
that?
five computers, $2,000, more than enough.
5.
Mike has a question.
Support that.
Yeah, I've got a couple, actually. Can you guys hear me from back there?
No, up here.
Can you hear Mike? Damien?
I think we need to have video conferencing capabilities. This is really not working well, and we should be able to Zoom meetings and be able to bring the public in and be able to conference them in. If we can do the normal things that every other organization is able to do, I think we should do that. We're in an important position, and the public should be able to comment and participate. It's really not rocket science. And if that's all that's holding us up, I think $2,000 is worth it, personally.
Go ahead, Mike.
Couple of questions. Ian, I was told earlier that this doesn't need to be live broadcast on 22 per se. Is that true?
That the meeting itself doesn't need to be live broadcast on Channel 22?
That's correct. That's the question.
It should be.
That's different than
I
does
think-
it need to be.
I think that
Ian, let me jump in here for a second. If we are live broadcasting our meetings, does that address the concern, regardless of the end forum? If they are available to the public to view live?
The executive order requires that it has to be capable of being seen and heard. Doesn't designate the ability for that to happen. However, the issue was, and the concern was, well, if you're only doing it on, say, YouTube, then it's only computer-based, and people who are not computer savvy may not have access, so then you might be limiting an aspect of your population.
But it's also on 22.
The flip side is those that don't have cable, which is, more and more folks don't have cable and don't have Channel 22. So, that's
correct.
That's what
I don't have it.
So the more you have, the better. I think if we can broadcast them both ways, then we should be broadcasting every way possible to permit the public to participate under these conditions. Remember, this open meetings law isn't going to be suspended forever. It's going to come back around, and then, yes, you can still do video conferencing, but the rules become much more strict with regards to that once they lift the current open meetings law modification. So, as I said, I don't think the board should be looking at this as just temporary for video conferencing. I think the real benefit to the town is that you are going to be in further compliance with regards to your record-keeping requirements. As I said, under Public Officers Law, Arts and Cultural Affairs Law, the Freedom of Information Law, each of those. So I think that's the true benefit to this, because video conferencing under the Open Meetings Law, without the executive orders, is cumbersome, to say the least.
Sure. So, but also that's with respect to board members. So, Mike, look, I'll give another example. Dee Dee Barrett, for example, maybe let's say she's in Albany and wants to join the Amenia Town Board meeting and present comments from our state representative. If we had the ability to allow folks to join our meetings by video conference, it doesn't necessarily have to be the town board, but we could invite others to participate. And it does, there's no technical impediment to really us being able to do that, other than this simple equipment challenge. Anyways, we're getting in the weeds here.
What was your other
question? Any other questions, Mike?
Yeah, the laptop systems. Remember that Chromebooks don't play nicely with Microsoft necessarily. And will you be buying headsets, proper headsets that have noise canceling and all? Because one of our big problems is people using speakerphones that don't have automatic noise canceling, and that's where all this feedback comes from.
Yeah, well, we're dealing with that now, so
all right, well, I'm just,
it is what it is.
It's really important to buy those headsets with the laptops themselves. And I'd really explore the Chromebook issue before I jumped and bought them, because you are dealing on a Microsoft platform. The other thing is, with what you proposed, you would be dealing with the live broadcast on the Microsoft software, which would not be going on to the YouTube channel and would not be broadcasting on 22. Am I understanding this correctly?
That's up to you, Mike. We can figure out how to make that happen.
Well,
but, yes,
I already said to you in an email that I needed equipment, and you told me I didn't know what I was talking about, so.
No. I don't know why we're doing this right now during the meeting. You and I should sit and sort and talk about it, but we can figure out a way to broadcast simultaneously to a Teams stream endpoint. We can broadcast to YouTube, and we can broadcast to 22. We can figure out how to do that. It's just computers and software. It can be sorted out. As far as Chromebooks playing nice with Office 365, I know that is not an issue. That's perfectly fine.
Tabling the discussion. Tabling the discussion.
I can circulate documentation on that. I did research on that already.
I mean, you're right, though. We shouldn't be talking about all this stuff during the meeting.
Agreed.
Okay, under other matters, I have a...
Are we tabling this then?
Yes,
Okay.
till we really nail down exactly what we want to get and where we want to get it.
That's fine.
Okay, I have a report from Leo Blackman, Chair of the Amenia Housing and Wastewater Committee. Last April, under auspices of Hudson River Housing, residents of Amenia, Millerton, and Pine Plains began meeting about common need for workforce housing. The group became the Tri-Town Coalition and decided individual groups in each town would be more effective. I asked the supervisor if she would reconvene the old Amenia Housing Committee, which has been inactive for a number of years. She agreed, and we have been getting together for 4 months. We realize that not much new housing or economic development can occur without a sewer. So that also got folded into our assignment. As you know, many efforts to make it happen occurred in the past. We have 12 members, 4 subcommittees of 2 researching housing issues, one with 4 members focused on wastewater, Jim Wright, Marco D'Antonio, Nathan Roy, and Leo. We've read previous wastewater studies. The last was in 2012 from Research Neighbor Systems. Hillsdale was the first in the region to realize other 2 tri-town groups are a bit ahead of us. Millerton hired an engineer to complete a wastewater feasibility study and has just rehired them to design a system. Pine Plains Board just approved hiring the same firm for the feasibility study. The firm is Ty and Bond from Rhinebeck. They have the most experience in developing local rural systems and making them happen. I had expected our committee would need to spend many months researching the entire process, but Jim and I had a long talk with the Tyne and Bond group. We learned that with the Millerton group. We learned that the engineer's scope of services includes reviewing old reports, town needs, different systems, locating equipment, defining districts, community presentations, and even finding grants. Project engineer Aaron Moore got spectacular recommendations. So Jim convinced me that we ought to cut to the chase, just hire a consultant at ASAP. I am here to ask your permission to contact Aaron Moore at Ty and Bond, discuss the specifics of Amenia's needs, and request a proposal for their services.
I have a question. So it sounds like Candace Ballmer is available to come back and consult with the town of Amenia on behalf of RCAP Solutions, rural, whatever that.
Do you want to explain what that is to Michelle and Jim? I don't know if they know.
So,
They're a nonprofit, yeah. No, go ahead. They're a nonprofit that works with municipalities to help identify state and federal level grants and funding opportunities and funding mechanisms. Basically, they are a nonprofit entity that helps towns work through these types of things, as opposed to hiring a paid engineering firm.
And I believe they work with towns with a population of 10,000 and lower. I think they're
right.
population-based because they kind of, they work with the rural towns.
Right. So in reading Leo's recommendation, my question would be, can't we ask Candace Ballmer, since she seems to be available to jump back into the town of Amenia, to first assess what stage we're at, and then help us, and I think she said that this is part of the services they do, is help us put out bid specs or put out proposals or create, a step-by-step plan for us. So I think before we go to Ty and Bond, we need to go to RCAP Solutions and Candace Ballmer and have her help us decide what we need from an engineering firm, or if that is indeed the next step.
So that would be something the subcommittee would work on?
I think so. I think that the subcommittee should meet with Candace, set up a meeting as soon as possible, and then, draw in Aaron when we're clear about what we need from them.
Well, that makes sense. Okay, do you want to relay the, back to Leo, or,
Yes,
because you're working on, with that
happy.
committee, I understand.
right. And then when Candace comes back with a concrete next step, we can decide then to what extent we can afford to hire them on, or, to do the next step.
Well, we can also apply for grants for the feasibility study, because that's how Pine Plains and Millerton both received grants for their feasibility studies. So there are county funds available.
Right, but we had a feasibility study, and we realized we couldn't afford that system given the threshold for household incomes. We could not exceed a certain amount, and we were short like $3 million. So the problem is do we continue working that feasibility study, shrinking the size of the district, working, who's in and who's out in order to try and bring it down to the correct threshold? I think that's where we need RCAP to come in and tell us what the next step is, because the feasibility study has already been done on a particular parcel. Now we need to rethink where we're at and how we can bring that amount down in an amount that will pass, because we cannot leverage a certain amount of taxes on people even if they agree to it. There's a threshold of which we can't exceed.
Okay, so you'll make that recommendation to Leo at the committee, for the committee?
Yes, if the rest of the board thinks that's the right process.
It sounds like it makes sense to have, if she's willing to work with us, to at least get some sort of a plan in place before we jump to a feasibility study.
Right.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments on the wastewater? I received a letter from Samantha Riley from the Dutchess County Community Action. She oversees the food pantry at Community Action, and they're partnering with the food bank and providing free grocery giveaways to families in need with no questions asked. Food is prepackaged by us and volunteers on site prior to opening in the public. The families come, they get the food with no contact with curbside pickup. We've done 2 successfully in Pine Plains and Wingdale. We are looking to hold one in Amenia next. And they were interested at the Amenia Town Hall. They wouldn't be coming in the building, but they like the way our horseshoe, where you can get in and come out, and they would have all the food prepackaged, and it would be just put in the person's car. So we just need a motion. They said they can provide liability insurance certificates. I already talked to Byron, and I have the insurance amounts to give them, but I wanted to get board approval. This would happen on Friday, May 29th. They set up at 9:30 and stay to 1 or until the food is gone.
Sounds like a no-brainer.
So someone would like to make a motion that we...
I'll make the motion.
that we provide the free grocery giveaway at the Amenia Town Hall on May
Waive the fee.
29th.
Waive the building use fee.
I'll make that motion.
Oh, and
I would recommend
the other thing, Ian recommended we give them the building use form, so I also wanted to waive the building use fee for this project.
I agree with that. Waive the fee and-
So Jim's making the motion. Michelle, are you seconding the motion?
I'm seconding it.
Beautiful. Councilman Morris?
Yes.
Councilwoman Smoji?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle?
Yes.
And Supervisor Prodi?
Yes.
Thank you.
And at this time, make a motion to go into executive session for pending negotiations with Kent Hollow Mine and the town clerk. Yes?
Sorry. We're going to do council person comment?
Excuse me?
He wants to speak.
Are we going to
Well,
do?
you can go ahead and make a comment if you want to. Go ahead.
I have a couple. Anybody else want to go? Vicky?
I'm okay Go ahead.
Jim?
I think that's two things, not, yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. So the first was an email that Vicki and I received from Stacy Mantle. By the way, in general, I will just...
From who?
We mentioned this already. Stacy Mantle,
Okay.
resident of Amenia. In general, because we haven't been having public comment in the last meetings, I have solicited, I've asked people to send their public comment to me either by email or to send comments on Facebook. So I've received a number of comments, but there's definite interest in the general public to have public comment returned to these meetings. If we could sort that out, that'd be great.
I announced that in a supervisor's report that they could send any public comment they wanted to any of us, and we would be happy to read it and comment.
Yeah, I said the same thing, and that's what we're doing now. So
Okay,
anyway,
go ahead.
So here's what Stacy says. What can the town do to enforce the governor's order regarding wearing a face covering in public? If the town has no jurisdiction over enforcement, what entity does? During the past month, I have witnessed the lack of business interest in enforcing this. She then goes on to list a number of businesses in town. Either an employee wasn't wearing a face covering or was only partially wearing a face covering or not telling customers to put on a face covering.
That should go to the code enforcement officer because he is responsible for making sure the businesses comply.
Okay, so that's one comment. I then received another letter from Adam and Lauren Ekstrom. Sorry, Adam Ekstrom and Lauren Wass in residence in Wassaic. I'll read this very quickly. Dear Town Council of Amenia, we are writing to request a fence between the upcoming rail trail and our house. We bought our home in Wassaic almost 10 years ago. We chose this particular house because it was close to things in the hamlet, yet it was 100% private. In fact, to get to our house, you have to drive through someone else's property. Until a little over a month ago, we never had anyone walking through or near our property because there is no public access or even one border of our plot on public land. Now that the rail trail is going directly in front of our house, that has all changed. Even our visual privacy has been taken away because our property in the tracks as well as Firehouse Road by the removal of the natural wall of trees and vegetation. We are not writing to complain about the rail trail. We are quite happy for its existence and are in full support of access to public transportation and recreation for everyone in our community. Our complaint is that there is no visual or physical barrier between the rail trail and our property, and we understand that there is an available budget that could alleviate this problem. The rail trail has not opened yet, and people have begun to walk right through our yard. We have come in the front yard to find people we don't know addressing our 3-year-old daughter on our property. We can only imagine how this is going to increase once the rail trail is actually open. Also, we have found multiple people coming through our yard in the past few weeks petting our dog. This is not okay during any time. This is very not okay during the time of the pandemic. People should not be touching anything on our property, especially our dog. Multiple people touch our dog, and then that dog crawls into bed with our daughter. If any one of those people have the virus, that will then transfer to our family. Whether we are in a time of the virus or not, the point is we bought a property with 100% privacy, and now we have people walking through our yard, and the trail has not yet opened. Without a barrier between the trail and our house, this will only increase. We think it's a shortcoming for there not to be both visual and physical barrier keeping people off of our property and visually away from our family. We are asking for at least an 8-foot-tall wooden fence that cannot be seen through between the rail trail and our property. We are certain that the one residential property south of us could use the same thing, or they will have the same problem. We have priced out the wood and approximately the cost for someone to build that fence. We believe it would be $7,500 for our property alone. We think it would be $13,000 for both properties together. We would love to discuss the possibilities of this getting built or funded so we could hire someone or build ourselves as soon as possible. We think within the realm, scope, and budget of the whole project, this is a very nominal request. Thank you very much for your understanding and your effort to alleviate the situation. Adam Ekstrom and Lauren Wasik.
Is there any reason why you haven't shared these emails from residents with the rest of the town boards so we had an idea about it?
Yes, I can forward you that email. I did share it. It came to my personal email, not my town email, so I will share that through the town email. Other on my list, sorry. One other comment, I've received a number of comments about the status of the town parks. Victoria, we've had a conversation about this by email. Do you want to just summarize for folks that might be confused or might be interested in what the current status of the town parks is?
The executive order, both the governor and Dutchess County, closed playgrounds because of the difficulty of social distancing at the playground. So currently we have closed signs on the playgrounds. We have not stopped anyone from walking their dog in Beekman Park. We did put a lock and a gate over the Wasaic playground because the equipment is there, and then basically the Wasaic Park is a field and a swing set and another piece of equipment. We're in the process of digging out the old antiquated equipment that isn't ADA compliant, and we're going to be removing that. The other reason the gate was locked is to keep ATVs from going in there and tearing up the place. However, it seems that despite our best efforts, the errant ATV people have forged their own path through the woods so that they could reach the park and get there anyway. So we're doing the best we can. The executive orders say the playgrounds have to be closed because of social distancing, and that's what we've done, is close the playgrounds. Unfortunately, the way the Wasaic Park is set up, the playground is the first thing you come to when you walk in the park. So we've had to keep it locked. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to be locked forever, but this is for safety purposes, to keep children and adults safe, especially since both the governor and the county executive are pointing out that social distancing is extremely important. This is a terrible virus. It attacks people in many different ways, and it's done some terrible things to children. So basically what we're doing is trying to keep people safe. I know it's an inconvenience and people would like to use their parks, but mostly, Beekman Park is mostly baseball fields, and there's no baseball right now. But we're just following the orders and trying to keep people safe.
I would just add to that, I know people want to get out of their house, the weather is nice. Obviously the rail trail is open. As Victoria noted, if social distancing is important, and keeping your distance from others on the rail trail, not our section of the rail trail, not the new one we're building, but the regular rail trail is open.
Yeah, the county just asked me to, in fact, I printed them out and gave them to our recreation maintenance person, and we actually put signage at the rail trails where they cross town roads on either side that people need to practice social distancing there and wear masks. So I've been, working with the county to try to keep that safe also.
And finally, there's some state land, recreation land in our town. So the Wasaic multiple use area is almost 500 acres. There's trails for hiking there. Again, social distancing is required. Mask use is encouraged by the governor if you can't social distance. So there are also DEC fishing sites in our town. So those remain open by the state order if you need to get out. That's it. That's all I have on my side.
Does anyone else have any other comment?
I did have a couple of comments. I'm working with the Amenia Garden Club to try to get the signs that are 15 years old down in Borden Park replaced so that they could go right onto the existing pedestals. So I'm getting a proposal that will be sent to us about refabricating 2 new ones. The lifespan of those fabrications are only about 15 to 20 years max, and then they start looking awful. There's water damage, and they're badly faded. So assuming I can get a quote, that's what I'm working on. The other thing is down there is we're thinking about that kiosk and that's across from Borden Park. If you know the center of the hamlet of Wassaic and you go over the railroad, crossing there in the hamlet where our rail trail is going to end up, we're trying to rethink that little kiosk there. So if anybody has any thoughts, please let me know. But it seems like it's just not quite functioning the way we intended, and is kind of perhaps structurally not that sound. That's all I have.
Vicki, did you want to talk about the food pantry, the church?
Okay. So, yeah, I did think that I would want to bring that up, but in fact, Leo made a good point. Is that the suggestion came from a resident that where that kiosk is, we could probably put a little attractive cabinet thing where people who have extra dry goods or canned goods could put them in there and offer them, much the way you see I've seen in cities and stuff where they have a little box nearby a restaurant or a thoroughfare where you could grab a book, take a book, give back a book. It's just free choice, and it's just out of the rain because it's in a little cabinet with a roof on it.
They have those in Virginia.
That we have food pantries that do a really good job. They're serving 140 families a week every Friday at the St. Thomas's Food for Life food pantry, and that is perhaps a better source of volunteers and extra. If you have extra food or anything like that, I think, or volunteer time, I know that is a really effective and busy place that's getting more and more people, and I think that's where we should direct them to rather than a couple of cans of SpaghettiOs, The other thing is I know that Sharon Kroger at the Kelsey store never lets anybody go hungry. If somebody needs rice or something, she has a whole tab of people who have IOU notes. She's not going to let anybody go hungry. So I'm kind of concerned that we might be duplicating or making it maybe not so clear that there are other really good avenues in town.
But the community action, they're getting the food they get a lot of is from Duchess Response, and that people have donated to. I mean, what the food they give I believe includes eggs and meat. It isn't just canned goods. It's an assortment of a lot of things that would be very useful to a family.
So maybe, what I should do is try and get a flyer going that just gives websites, phone numbers, all the different places on that kiosk that says, if your family is food insecure, if you are food insecure, here are 3 places you can go. You don't have to have a cell phone or anything like that. Go to the St. Thomas's on Fridays at whatever. Go to, I don't know, it just seems like the little cabinet may not be the best thing. And when COVID is behind us, I was thinking, well, it could be a little library. You know, you could grab a book, sit down at the picnic table, read some of the history, and you know, enjoy the community atmosphere there. But I'm just not positive what the next move is down there, and I would welcome thoughts that you might have. I can send you the picture that Leslie Ellers, who came up with this idea in the first place, sparked this idea of having a little cabinet where people can drop off little food items. If it sparks any ideas, let me know, because I think that area can be reworked, and I think it's the gateway to our little our new rail trail, and it really should look good and look like we know what we're doing and using it well, using that space well.
Yeah, the Wassaic Fire Company just had a food drive, and people, you know, put their food in front of their houses, and volunteers went and picked it up, and all the food went to St. Thomas. So a lot of people are making a lot of effort in a lot of different places. I know South Amenia is also feeding people. And the Office of the Aging has continued to provide meals throughout this crisis.
Right.
But anything we can do to help, anywhere we can help, would certainly would be good.
So I'm going to send this to everybody, and you can just say, yeah, I think that's a good idea. No, I think it's been duplicated. I think the kiosk is more important. You know, use that as the problem with kiosks is that people just they're not printing flyers, and they're not posting them. If they do post them, they don't take them down. So that's maybe a frustrating situation. I thought it would be used much more than it is.
Is there any other comment? If there's no other comment, then I make a motion to go into executive session for pending litigation for Kent Hollow Mine. The town clerk and Councilwoman Doyle are excused.
Okay, thank you.
And you're taking minutes?
Yes.
You're making that motion, and who seconded? Because they
Who
both spoke over
seconded?
each other.
I seconded it.
Michelle?
Okay.
I did.
You,
Well, I guess we both did.
Let's go whatever one you want.
Michelle, since she's so excited. So Michelle, I'm going to start with you because we're doing a roll call, and it's aye or nay that you're going into executive session. Councilwoman Samoji?
Yes.
Great. Councilman Morris?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle?
Yes.
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Have a safe holiday weekend, all.